Hello, this is Mike Searles, the comeback coach, and this video is titled Four Fail-Proof Steps to Come Back from Setbacks. Coming back from setbacks, four fail-proof steps. Now, the title seems to make some kind of a guarantee, and there is no absolute guarantee because I don't know your circumstances. They are unique to you. But what I do know is that these four steps are life-changing. And how do I know that? Because of the people I coach and the results that I'm able to get them and very quickly, but also these four same steps are the steps I took back in 2009 to transform my life from being sick, sad and broke. And I'll tell you more about that in just a moment. But back to you. So what could be your setback? First of all, adversity. What is adversity? Adversity is defined simply as setback or suffering. And so if you feel like you are suffering because of a circumstance, it could be to do with your health. It could be to do with your finances. It could be to do with relationships. It could be something in your life that has turned for the worse and you're suffering as a result of it. We're going to talk right now about four simple steps you can take to put you onto a path where you can turn that around and come back from the setback. So let's just talk about, first of all, the concept that preempt these four steps. And it was Earl Nightingale, the grandfather of personal development, that recorded back in the 1950s a voice recorded message that has been claimed to have created or helped create more millionaires than any other recorded message of its kind. Now, you may already be a step ahead of me. The title of Earl Nightingale's recording is The Strangest Secret in the World. The Strangest Secret in the World. And if you've not listened to Earl Nightingale's original recording of The Strangest Secret in the World, then I would highly, highly recommend that you do so, because in it he says, and what is the strangest secret? The strangest secret is that we become what we think about. Let me repeat that. We become what we think about. So it's the thoughts that you have that will determine whether you stay stuck, suffering in the setback, or whether you can turn around, get onto a mental path, a mindset path of getting out of the setback, out of the suffering, and into a state of success, thriving, and prosperity. And that's what prosperity is, by the way. A simple definition of prosperity is success and thriving. And so the first concept is be aware of your thinking, be aware of your thoughts. This does not in any way undermine the reality of the setback itself. No. We are not undermining the reality of what you're going through or what you've been through. What we're talking about is the reality of where you can go, depending on your mindset, beginning on your mindset. And then beyond thinking and thoughts, there's something else that flows on naturally, and that's the feelings we have. Did you know that a thought becomes a feeling because of emotion, because of hormones and chemicals in the brain and the body that are released depending on your thoughts? This is why thoughts become things, and very powerful things. It was Napoleon Hill that wrote that in his book Think and Grow Rich back in the 1960s or earlier, I think, actually, 1930s. Napoleon Hill, when he wrote Think and Grow Rich, he wrote that thoughts are things, very powerful things, and they are, because they become feelings. A feeling or an emotion, and that's what an emotion is, a thought in motion through your body. For example, if you're in a state of suffering and you are almost entirely thinking about the suffering, the state of suffering, then that's a self-perpetuating state that you are creating for yourself. Now, again, I'm not undermining the reality of what you're feeling as a result of this setback: health, finances, relationships, career, whatever it is. I do not want you to think that I am pretending that your situation is not serious and dire. I've been in a setback situation before, and I said I'd tell you about that, and I will, my own situation. But what I do want to get across to you even more so, is that if you're not monitoring your thoughts and feelings, then you are simply creating a self-fulfilling prophecy of being stuck, remaining stuck in that state of suffering, that state of setback. And you don't want that. That's why you're listening and watching this video. The third thing as a concept is that thoughts and feelings lead to actions and behavior. So what's an action? An action is what you do, and what's behavior? Behavior is how you do it, how you do what you do. And thoughts become feelings, and feelings become actions, behavior. And how you're acting, what you're doing on a day-to-day basis is the turning point from going from a setback to prosperity, or coming back from a setback. Getting out of the suffering and getting into the success state, the state of success and the state of thriving. So what are these 4 steps that you need to follow, that I suggest you do follow, that I coach people on following, and I see results, and that I've put into... Actually, I'll tell you now, my own situation back in 2009 was that I was sick, sad, and broke. I was sick because I was hopelessly addicted to alcohol and drugs. I had a professional background up until 2009, but I was unemployable due to alcohol and drugs. But there was also, for the most part, depression, and not just being sad because it's a cloudy day and it's raining, but such a deep, profound depression that I could not control. And so it's clinical depression, and I was unmedicated. Well, I was medicated. I was medicating myself with alcohol and drugs, and that's how I became so terribly addicted and sick and depressed and suicidal and broke, because I was unable to work. I was no good to any employer. So I sat in an addiction doctor's office that day in March 2009, and I was sobbing. And he said, "Are you going to stop doing the drugs and alcohol, or are you going to die before the end of the year?" And that really did stop me, and it really stopped me and made me think, well, I chose life over drugs and alcohol and sickness and depression, and I entered into a treatment program. Now, part of that treatment program, which included medication and counselling and coaching, and part of that counselling and coaching is what I got from that counselling and coaching, intensive coaching with through a trained professional, is what I'm going to share with you. So these 4 steps contributed to me coming out of my own suffering to a state of prosperity that I live today, and even to the point where I'm able to share my experiences to help others. In fact, my mission is to lead 100,000 people out of setbacks and suffering to come back to a life of prosperity. So the very first step is you need to get clear on what you want, as opposed to what you don't want. And if you had a pen and a paper and you're going to write anything down, I'd write that down. Step 1, be clear, have clarity on what you want, not what you don't want. You probably, every cell in your body has been drenched with the idea of what you don't want. And that's what happens when we're in a state of suffering. Our minds are so occupied in the suffering that we're unable to think of anything else. But you have to break that. You have to break through that. You must break through that and allow yourself to start thinking. Thoughts become things. Earl Nightingale, we become what we think about. We must think, what would be the alternative to this current state of suffering, this current state of setback? What would be the alternative, the better alternative? And then write it down. That's step 2. When you can get some kind of clarity on what you really want, write it down. Write it down on a piece of paper, write it down on a card, write it down on your phone, write it down somewhere where nobody else can see it. If you choose to keep this highly personal, although I would recommend that you do talk to somebody about it, but preferably not somebody emotionally close to you, because that can have a negative effect, which I don't and won't go into in this video. It's something that I would talk and do talk to my students and my coaching mentees. But first thing is to get clear on what you want. Set an intention and write it down. Put it in writing. That's the second step. The third step is to read that written intention to yourself every day. Every day, every day, without fail. Now, I know what you might think. It sounds silly. It sounds hokey, and it sounds pokey, and it sounds so 20th century. Yeah, well, so what? It works. That's the bottom line. As hokey and as pokey as it might be, it works. And that's what I would encourage you to get through any. So your mind is going to come up with paradigms that are set deep into your subconscious mind that you're not responsible for. It's not your fault that you have these negative thoughts. And so right now, even before I'm bringing this up, you may have had thoughts about, negative thoughts about, who's this guy? What does he know? He's almost going bald. I don't like the color of his shirt. There's all sorts of things that will come up because a part of your subconscious mind doesn't want you to get out of the setback, to get out of the suffering. It's a horrible thought to have, but it's true. A part of your paradigm, deeply set within your unconscious or subconscious mind, which is through no fault of your own, it's there and it doesn't want you to succeed. So we need to fight that. So we fight those thoughts about, well, this doesn't sound like it. This all sounds a little bit too simple. It is simple. It's designed to be simple, but it works in an exponential way. Step one, get clear on what you want and write it down. Step two, put that intention in, Step one, be clear on what you really want. Step two, write it down. And step three is to read that intention every day. But is that all you do? What's that going to do? Well, you've got to read it and then see yourself in your imagination as if that intention is already fulfilled, as if it's already here in the now, not something that you're just imagining as something somewhere in the future, like over the rainbow. No, as if it's right now. How does it feel? How would it feel if your setback was no longer a reality, no part of your life anymore? How would it feel? What would it look like if all that suffering was gone? All the pain and the suffering and the regret and the guilt and whatever else may be attached to the suffering. What if it was just out? It was just a clean slate, so to speak. How would that feel? Allow yourself, key word there, allow yourself to imagine and let the feelings from the imagination become real through your body. Remember, I said earlier, thoughts become things, thoughts become feelings, feelings, emotions are the result of thoughts that create and turn on certain hormones and brain chemicals that go right throughout the whole body. And this is what an emotion is. And you can actually live in the end as if the end is already here in the now. The end may be for you that the goal is achieved, the setback is gone, you're fully recovered, restored, healed, money is back into the account, the relationship has been restored, whatever it is. You imagine, how does that feel? How does that really, really feel? Let the emotion come through in the emotion, through imagination. And then step four is take action. Well, you might be thinking, Mike, what else do you want me to do? You've asked me to think about with clarity about what I really want. You've asked me to write it down. You've asked me to read it every day and imagine and let feelings come through. What else do you want me to do? Well, it's the taking of the action that really is the most important. The fourth step is really the most important step. Because if all you do is think about what you really want, write an intention on a piece of paper, imagine it and did nothing else, absolutely nothing else, you've wasted your time, and nothing will change. Because if nothing changes, nothing changes. And if you want tomorrow to be different than it was today, you're going to have to do something different. And the action that you will take, and this is quite profound, although it doesn't sound so, you have to do the next thing you know you have to do. You have to do the next thing you know you have to do. You can only do it in the day that you're in. You can't do it. You can't do tomorrow's today, and you can't redo yesterday's today. Yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery. There's only today. So how do you know what the next thing is? You do know. Now, I know that you already know what you have to do. So I don't listen. I just do not listen to anybody tell me I don't know what to do. You do know what you have to do. It's just for whatever reason, something's held you back. You do know what you have to do, and you start doing it bit by bit, day by day. You keep doing it every day, and that's the fourth step. You take that action like you've never done before. Now, these are the 4 steps that saved my life. They're also the steps that I take clients through, and I help to change their lives as well and get them back on track. So I hope that's been helpful. Now, if you want something for a gift from me, I've got a gift for you, and it is excuse me for referring. I've got it written down here because I've got a link for you to go to. It's bit.ly/gifts times 3. That's the big X mark for 3. I'll actually put it on the end of the video so you can see. But there's 3. It's a bundle of PDFs that I've got for you that I've written, and the first one is a guide to having a positive life and manifesting your dreams. And the second is a positive life planner. And the third is a positive life journal. So 3 PDFs, very simple and easy to download. There's no cost, they're totally free. And all you've got to do is visit that site, bit.ly/gifts times 3. And I'll have that on the end of the video. So I hope you found this to be useful. And if you follow these 4 steps, just watch what happens with an open mind. Have that open mind and have that expectancy for change to occur. I do wish you well. I know if you follow these 4 steps, these 4 fail-proof steps to come back from setbacks, whatever your setback is, I do know you'll make progress. And remember, what's important is progress, not perfection. Do what you have to do. You know what you've got to do. Do it as of today. I do wish you well.